Hey, good morning, everybody. It's still morning in certain parts of the country. Good afternoon, it's maybe even good evening. And welcome to Conversations with Geoff. Ha! Coming to you live from Houston. Boy, I had to tell you, it's been a beautiful morning. The sun was shining, and my wife and I got out and we did our bike ride. I don't know, 12, 15-mile bike ride. So you got that exercise in, get your body moving, your energy flowing. Health is such an important piece that, we all value and we take it very seriously. So, we got that out of the way and got focused on just taking a moment and enjoying the outside. The weather at 50 degrees in Texas is not like 50 degrees in the Midwest. I'm telling you, it's beautiful. So welcome everyone that's here. When you hop on, let us know where you're from. If you're coming on from Facebook, please include your name because it really does. It just says Facebook user, and we'd like to know who you are. And I gotta tell you, get ready. This folks, the young man is coming up here in a moment. It's gonna light you up. But I want to just ask you, put in the chat things that you've been thinking about that you'd like for us to discuss. Those of you that pop on later on, feel free to drop something in the chat that's on your mind, whether it's business related, health, family, community, because Conversations with Geoff is just that. And not the, such a doom and gloom or divisive conversations, but one that brings folks together, right? The unity of things. And I got to speak to that this morning. I'm just going to take a moment before I bring our speaker on and speak to that person that is, hey, I see Dallas, yes, in Houston, beautiful. But I want to speak to that person. We've all talked about COVID and the impact of COVID, and it's still here, and it's still going to have an impact on our jobs, on our health, and on our families. And now there's this big push about the, resignation revolution. And why I'm bringing that up today is I want to talk to that entrepreneur that was excited about starting their business and now, starting to realize it takes more than you thought, more work, more time, more education, more money, or you're that corporate employee that really is wanting to take that leap, but still not sure, and you're not sure what the steps will be. I'm telling you, listen, we hear this young man's story. He's going to talk to you about courage. He's going to talk to you about taking chances. He's going to talk to you about diving off the edge, right? And there is no better time than now than to really reconsider, reevaluate, reposition, and recreate yourself. So those are the conversations we have in and around Conversations with Geoff. Stop on in, grab a seat. We're not going to keep you long. And with the time we have, ladies and gentlemen, I want to stop chatting right now and give this young man as much time as possible. But let me just tell you a little bit about him first. His name's Nathyn Montagano. I messed his name up already, but he'll come back to this Montagano. So anyhow, super young man. And he's going to talk about early childhood opportunities and struggles and, academic-wise, the things he had to do to overcome some things. And then, where he's at today, both in his professional career and the things he likes to volunteer with. But if you're looking for someone that's going to smash can I say excuses on this conversation? Yeah, smash your excuses that are holding you back. This is the guy. All right. So say welcome, blow up the chat for him as he conversates, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm just going to say to you, get ready, baby. All right. I'm going to bring on Nathyn. Here we go. What's up, Nathyn?
What's going on, Geoff? Thank you very much for those kind words, my friend. Really do appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure, man. It's always nice to be able just to share the truth about people.
Yeah, man. And I got plenty of that to share. So, and that's all I do is you ask anyone that knows me, when I do sales training, rule number one is always tell the truth.
Yes, sir. So, yes, sir. Well, obviously, I messed up your last name, so why don't you begin?
You actually nailed it the second time.
I got it the second time.
Second time you nailed it. The first time it was we were out there because you did that hyphenation thing, and you were like, no, yeah, then you nailed it. Yeah, it's Nathyn Montagano. Everybody gets it wrong. It's perfectly fine. You actually, like I said, you did nail it the second time coming around. So thank you for that. I do appreciate that.
Hey man, I practice it.
Yeah, exactly.
When you have the name Geoff with a G, you get called all kinds of things growing up. Geoff, goof off. I'm kind of sensitive to that, man. So anyway, why don't you kind of just back up a little bit and tell us, I mean, you got some really interesting things, man, about early childhood and then, the teenagers years, and then we'll kind of just pick it up from there, man.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I grew up in a real small town of about 1,500 people. It's called Whitman, Massachusetts. It's WHTMAN. It's literally white man, Massachusetts. And that's all it was a bunch of white folks. So I didn't really have no culture, no nothing. I moved to Florida when I was 8th grade, going into freshman year of high school. A whole new world, right? Like I was my school. I went to Bayshore High School in Bradenton, 60% minority, 40% white. So it was like a whole culture shock to me. And then shortly thereafter, at the end of my freshman year, I lost my father, who was killed in a hit-and-run motorcycle accident. And that really changed everything, right? Like my father is my hero. As you can see, like down below here, MAM, that's him. You'll never see my name on anything because I want his legacy to live on forever through me, because that's way more important that he lives on. So, I battled through all the way through school. I was a obnoxious, real pain in the behind for all the teachers out there. I'm sorry. I know I was difficult to deal with. But I ended up graduating high school. I started dealing poker, making pretty good money. I was making cash, a good amount of cash. Then in my early 20s, I became an addict, during that opioid crisis. Like when it first started, I definitely fell victim to that. I shouldn't use the word victim. I'm not a victim in any way. I made every decision consciously, and that struggle it lasted about 2 years. I actually had gotten clean for about 6 months or so. And then of all the people in the world that got me back on opiates again was my sister. Thanks, Tiana. So I battled through that. And then, after that, it was just, I just went back, I fought through that. Couple years down the road, 27 years old, I came to a point where I kind of was living the American dream. Like I had reached all these like real low level goals that I had set for myself, right? Like drove my realistic dream car, I own my own home, and I'm thinking like I'm the king of the world, right? Making like $50,000, $60,000 a year. I can't kind of just had this realization one day of like, is this as good as it gets for me? And, I kind of wrestled around with this epiphany for a little while. And I said, like, heck no, this cannot possibly as good as it gets for me. So I then asked myself the question of, well, what scares you most? And for me, it was an easy answer. It was college. I always told myself, I can't read, I can't write, I'm stupid, I'm an idiot, terrible self-talk, I can't do math. Well, turns out I was wrong about all that. I went back to college. I was a 4.0 student. I sat on 3 state executive boards. I was director of political action for the largest Black student union in the country. And I started to really turn my life around. I found my true passion in life, which was sales. I love to sell. I love to train people on how to sell. First job I had was knocking doors at Charter Communication, Grant Cardone. I'm a big Grant Cardone guy, as you can see here. I just got back from a workshop this week in Miami. That was mind-blowing. And he said the first job you should have in sales is knocking doors, because if you can take on that beating from that, then there's nothing you can't do. So I did that for a couple of years. I was pretty successful. I got selected to be a part of a group of 6 that got to actually meet with the CEO, Tom Rutledge, and kind of design an entire mobile door-to-door program. I made company history, sold the first ever mobile phone for the company. I got to do all that fun stuff. Then my best friend had been trying to convince me for months, like, hey, Nate, I got this really great opportunity for you, great opportunity. And I'm like, yeah, but dude, I'm on fast track, for corporate America, I'm thinking whatever, but we're all taught to think like corporate America, the way to go, let's go make some other man rich or some other woman, rich.
Yeah.
And then I went in and normally they do this big hoorah thing when they bring people into the company. And I just sat down with, the top leader, and he's like, listen, dude, this is how it is. He said all the words I needed to hear: passive income, residual income, growth and opportunity. And I'm like, all right, dude, I'm in. And I literally went back. I left that meeting, went back to Spectrum. I said to my boss, I said, I'm super grateful for everything that you've done for me. But it's time for me to go into business for myself. I was extremely fortunate that I was successful in the beginning. I hit all the benchmarks. I actually was the first ever. Basically, there's 2 benchmarks in the beginning, right? It's your first 26 weeks. The first 13 weeks, they want you to do 100K. But if you do 200K, you get a free promotion. And it's like a 10% increase in commissions. So my first week, I did 209 in sales, 209,000 in sales. And the second 13, you're supposed to do 200K, and you hit like the infamous beacon.
Yeah.
No one in my division had ever done that before. Nice. Of course, this is, my beacon starts the first week. I'm on pace, and then COVID hits. The whole world shuts down.
Yeah. Before you talk about COVID, because I want to hear more about that, I'm going to back you up a little bit.
Okay, let's go. Let's go on back.
Yeah, because there were some pieces, and when I was doing some references and reviewing of you, I think will be really important. Because what you see today, ladies and gentlemen, is a makeup of a lot of other things that we want to maybe talk a little bit more about today. Because I won't, as we know, we don't want to be basing our accomplishments on someone that's already got it. It makes it difficult. So I want to take you back to a point where you didn't touch on much, and that was that when you were kind of living on your own, in that homeless scenario.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even bring that up. I totally forgot that I was to mention that. Yeah. Like 16, 17 years old, I was homeless. I had nowhere to go. We lost everything. It was like, right around the recession, 2006, 2008, that time. Mm-hmm. We were like one of 3,000 foreclosures in Manatee County that year. My mom and I were homeless, had nowhere to go. It wasn't a long process for me, but it was a process to where there was nights where I didn't have a place to stay. And then I was taken in by a family, thank goodness. That really turned everything around for me. Shout out to Rainy Deers, my second mother.
Yeah. Always somebody there, right?
Yeah, and she also opened up my eyes to a lot of other things, right? Because I wasn't hanging around with the right crowd in school.
Right.
I was down here in Florida. This is actually, we had to move back to Massachusetts because we didn't have anybody down here. We were still new to Florida, so we had to move back to Massachusetts and kind of resort to some of those older contacts and things and people that my dad had built relationships with. Full transparency, like I said, when I was in high school, I was hanging around the wrong crowd. I was wearing Rebel shirts. I was a complete idiot. I knew nothing about nobody. And I said, like, that culture shock thing happened. Right. And then, I lost my dad, so I had no guidance. Yeah. I actually almost got expelled because I, called a black kid the N-word. So full transparency, like I said, it's the only way I know how to roll. Yeah. And then the family that took me in, Rainy, they're Cape Verdean. And she changed my outlook on life forever, actually. We were sitting out on the porch one day, and she asked me the question. She said, Nate, did you know, why I took you in? I said, well, yeah, of course. Jerry, her and her son, I'm like, we're best friends. And she said, that couldn't be further. That's good and great. That has nothing to do with why you're here today. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, enlighten me, please. Mm-hmm. And she's like, your father was the only man that always stuck up for me, no matter what, whether it was a teacher, whether it was a student, whether it was the captain of a football team, that always stuck up for me when someone had something to say about my race. And that something just went off in my head, and I went, oh my gosh, I've been, because you fall into these groups of people, and all throughout your life you're ever changing, right? So to then go on to be the director of political action of the largest Black student union, Martin Luther King's my hero. You know what I mean? Like I tell people I'm going to be the white MLK, who unites us all, and they think I'm crazy. Yeah. But the reason I can believe that is because I've seen both ends of the spectrum, right? I've been on the rebel flag wearing good old country boy wannabe from Massachusetts, by the way, which doesn't even make any sense looking back on it. But then also too, where I was in a room of 500 roughly 500 black people and maybe 3 to 5 white people. And I was elected over a young man who had a 4.0 and was going to Howard. And that was strictly just because he went up there and all he could say was, how could this white guy know? How could this white guy know? How could this white guy know? And I just went up there and just said, like, MLK, and I just recited, like, I have a dream, like my 4 little children will go up in this great nation and be judged off the content of their character and not the color of their skin.
Yes.
It really resonated with people. And honestly, that was like one of the most emotional and proudest moments of my life when I did win that. I'm not like an emotional person like that, but like I literally stood up. As soon as I stood up, I fell right to my knees and just like bawled my eyes out.
Yeah. Wow.
Like it was like I was just overcome with emotion, because to just to be accepted into a community that was so, that's so far from what I'm used to. Right.
Right.
And, like, to make that leap that I had made from, like I said, I almost got expelled for saying the word that no white man should ever be saying, to then be, leader of one of the, largest BSUs in the country. Like, that was probably the one of, if not the proudest moment of my life, transformation is possible for all of us. And, the only limitations that exist are the ones we put on ourselves, really.
Yeah, that's it. I want to interrupt you again because I want to talk about, there had to have been some during that time, when you and your mom were struggling and those experiences, what can you take away and share with us? What did you take away from that experience that helped you, in a situation like you just shared or that you use now, in the toughest times? What are a couple of nuggets that you can say, hey, Geoff?
So, like, for one thing, for me, like the biggest thing, honestly, probably was my mom and sister did a lot of sitting around feeling bad for themselves. And I felt like, if, like, I don't get me wrong, I grieved and I did go through my grievances, but I never felt bad for myself. Like, I never felt like I said, like earlier, I accidentally said I was a victim, right? Like, I could never allow myself to feel bad for myself because I felt as in doing that, I'm dishonoring my father. He wouldn't want me to sit here and feel bad about myself. He'd want me to continue to my life and to chase my dreams and to dream bigger and to do things, that I never thought possible. Right. So that was probably one of the biggest takeaways, and just the resiliency of like never giving up, never like not being scared to dream, because like when you survive certain things, right? Like there comes a time where like when you survive homelessness and losing your father and addiction and like all of these things, and then like, like even college, right? Like college was one of the biggest things for me because I never thought I could do those things, and you continue to overcome these things and you start to just realize that like the limitations are just, they're only there because we allow them to be there. Yeah. Right. Like, and like, I love the saying of like the man who says he can or will, and the man that says he won't, you're both right.
You're both right.
Like I love that because it's so true.
Yes.
And for a long time, I was the guy that said, I can't do this. I can't. Now, like if I hear myself even say the word can't or like woulda, shoulda, coulda, I like want to smack myself almost. Like, what are you doing? You could do whatever you want, Nate. Like, come on, get with it.
Right.
Because it is like self-talk is so important. And it's very underestimated. No one teaches these kinds of life lessons in school, right? Like,
Yeah, the self-talk that we are taught, we teach ourselves, and it's all the negative stories that people tell us about ourselves.
Exactly, and that's everybody else's limitations and their limiting of beliefs, right?
Their limiting of beliefs, but until we learn that we can alter that and change that, and that leads us to adulthood. Some people never get the opportunity, and you obviously have, right? Because I'm gonna back you up a little bit now because you told us about some of the things in early childhood, and I identify with the whole academic piece. Because that gentleman you touched on that was really struggling in school, what was one thing that you decided to do differently and go from that student, that obnoxious student to a 4.0 student? What was that to you?
Full commitment. I told myself when I go to college, I'm fully committing and going 100% all the way because this was a pivotal point in my life, right? Where, like I said, for so long I had no belief in myself, but I realized so much like that I just couldn't half. I don't want to curse, but like half behind it, right? Like I had to put everything I had into it, and I wasn't going to settle for less. There was no like, oh well, maybe I will, maybe I won't, like half in, half out. Like I was fully committed to college.
Yeah.
And also like that was also when I developed a passion to just like want to help other people. Right? Like, cause I was 27 years old, right? And I'm 27 and most of the kids walking around the college campus are 18, 19 years old. And I see them struggling with a lot of the things that I went through. So, I was in student government. I was a leader, you know what I mean? So it was my job to show that, a lot of these youngsters like, hey man, it's all good, right? Like you're just getting started.
Yeah.
You have you have your whole life ahead of you, and you have no idea what you're going to accomplish.
That's right.
I can there's specific people I can even think of. There was this kid Max, one of the smartest, most intelligent young men I've ever met, and I said, "Hey Max, have you applied to MIT yet?" I mean, I've watched this kid do literally four full pages of math equations to get to like the final answer, and I'm lost at like the first symbol on the page, right? Like I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, have you even applied to MIT? And he's like, well, no, like I can't. It's $75 for the application fee. And I'm like, dude, do you want to know if you can go to MIT or do you want to wonder forever? I'm like, I'll give you the $75, dude. Like fill out that application.
Yeah.
And then he went on to go to UF, go Gators, baby. Great choice. Graduated top of his class and with an engineering degree.
Wow.
And it's like those moments like that where I've had a lot of those sit down conversations with a lot of young kids in school and they taught me a lot, right? Like they taught me a lot about because they're seeing things like from a whole nother world of where I'm seeing things, right?
It's a different world, man.
Yeah, because I'm top end of the millennials, and now here I am with I think it's Gen X or whoever, and they're teaching me and giving me a different outlook on life, and I'm like, man, I've never thought of that.
And being open to it, is an important part. But I want to ask you something. You said something, and you said when you made a decision in college, you made the commitment, and you were going to do those certain things. But everybody does that, but life shows up. Let's keep it real, right? Mm-hmm. What was that one monster that you had that showed up every morning, or hey, I'm still here, Nathyn. You think you're going to have this great day today, or you're going to achieve these goals. What was that one monster?
So it's funny that you mentioned that. So when you say on that day to day, I had a routine in the morning, and this was one of the few times in my life that I ever had a routine that was I did it religiously, and I called it M&M, which just happens to be my dad's initials, right? M-A-M. So M&M. My dad's families they're called the M&M families because everybody's first and last name start with M. So I did what I would meditate and motivate every morning. And it would just put me in the state of mind of so when and this is how I learned about a lot of people who became mentors of mine, Eric Thomas, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins. I didn't know who any of these people were before this. Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Les Brown, all these people that I had no idea, but I would take, I would make sure every morning that when I woke up, I'd take 10 minutes, I'd meditate first thing, and then instantly I would put a motivational video on. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't turn that motivational video off until I walked into class.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that whole time I'm just motivating myself to just be the best I can be, to help as many people as I can today, and to just overcome all my fears.
And that's powerful, man, because that message you just shared is about morning routines, and you work that still every day. You work. You just didn't get through it because you made a decision, a commitment. You worked on the commitment, and that's what we want the people to hear today. Is that little bit of effort. And you mentioned some of my same mentors, Les and Zig and Tony and Dean, and you got involved in circles of influence that were in your ear that will help offset that chatter that we all have in our heads.
Yep. That doubt.
And you're living proof that doubt, is there's another option.
Yeah, there is. And it's when you realize that and you go to you find success, and like all of us, like success leaves clues, and like you hear that a lot, and it's true. And like like rich people hide things in the craziest place, right? Like it's called a book.
Yeah.
Like it's the craziest thing ever. Like all the wealthiest people on the planet that have ever come through, when we're talking about Henry Ford, like it don't matter where we're at, guess what? They all left clues. And there's books out there. Like I'll tell you right now, one of my goals is by 45, I'm going to be a billionaire. And I'm going to buy Rich Dad, Poor Dad and The Magic of Thinking Big for every sixth grader in the country.
Oh, awesome.
Because like those two books, like one teaches you financial literacy and the other one teaches you that there are no limitations.
No limitations.
Like The Magic of Thinking Big was like Rich Dad, Poor Dad did something, but The Magic of Thinking Big did like a whole nother thing to where like my dreams and aspirations now, like when I tell people they think I'm crazy, and like two, they get like a little nervous, right? Like I told you before we got on here, like I'm going to be the first ever president to win by a written-in ballot.
Yeah.
Like I believe that.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly. Like I believe that that's going to happen.
Yes, sir.
And like, why? Because I'm not going to allow anyone else's limitations or even my own limitations. Because don't get me wrong, there's times where I doubt myself.
Come on, man. Right? That's right.
Like like we all do it.
Yep.
We are all our own biggest enemy at most points in time.
Yes, sir.
Right? Because of what? Because what we're telling ourselves in here, the stuff that no one else hears or sees, that's the battle. When you win this battle every day, that's when you know you've made it and you're on the right track. And I can tell you, trust me, I do not win that battle every day. There are plenty of days I still lose that battle, but somehow, some way, at some point in time, I have an ability to kind of just snap out of it and go, Nate, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Where you at? Like, get focus. You have goals. You have aspirations. Sitting here doing what you're doing right now ain't going to get you there.
Well, you're paying attention. Being aware is one of the simple things that we talk to a lot of people about. Hey, this is going to come about. It's a natural occurrence. You respond to it. You have a choice to respond or not respond. Mm-hmm. And if you do run for president, someone said they love your beard, so make sure you have that beard, man. You can have the Abraham Lincoln look.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I made a post the other day about it was funny, and it got like the most comments of any post I'd ever made. And my barber called me, Austin Paul, and he called me and he's like, Nate, I'm not shaving that beard off. And like, cause like I never planned to shave it off, right? Like it was just like good content. I thought it'd be funny.
Yeah.
And, but he literally called me like, and I was getting ready to go in for a haircut. He's like, I'm not shaving. He's like dead serious. Like, Nate, I'm not shaving your beard off. And like, I thought it was so funny. I'm like, dude, I was never shaving the beard. The beard was never going.
Someone whoever said that nice beard, we're glad you didn't, man. So,
yeah. Thank you. I do appreciate that.
Putting out the chassis here. And so with this, appreciate everybody chiming in and continue to show Nathyn some love, man. Cause I told you, you may see a guy that's got it together, but his story is unlike a lot of our stories, right? So let's kind of, we talked about the homelessness, we talked about the addiction, we talked about your success level. What other little that little voice in your head that most people share that you deal with? Maybe when you're talking about going into that sales girl job that you did, and you were leaving, you found out you could leave this job and start your own thing. I mean, you did it, but what was it? What was it that was what was that little noose that kept pulling you back a little bit?
It takes a special type of person to become an entrepreneur, right? And like also too, like our school systems are designed to create worker bees. Like our school system's archaic. It's like 1,500 years old or something silly like that. Like it's literally designed to create worker bees. Mm-hmm. And that's why, like I said, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad would be one of those books that I would buy for everyone. Cause you learn from he learned from his actual father who was poor. And then his, essentially adopted father, which was just his father of his best friend, about how to create wealth. And like, that's what I'm all about, right? Is like, I want to make as many people wealthy as I can on this planet. And just like, this is going to sound crazy when I say this, okay? And trust me, it sounds crazy coming out of my mouth when I do say it. But 5-6 years ago, like when I first was in college, I classified myself as a democratic socialist. Okay. Now I'm a non-party affiliate and a hardcore capitalist. The reason I say that is because a lot of people, especially today, like young people, think that capitalism is a bad thing. Listen, capitalism is not a bad thing. It's just you're not being taught how to properly take advantage of it.
That's right.
Right? Like wealthy people and business owners, like, and when I consult and I teach and I train on this stuff, I tell them, I say, it's not about the money that you're taking in. It's about the money that you don't have to give back to Uncle Sam.
That's right.
That's what being a business owner is all about, right? Like that's the advantages, right? Like there's a reason why Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk make $180 billion and pay under $3 million in taxes.
Right.
Why? Because they know how to play the game. Guys like Grant Cardone has $4 billion in assets, and he still pays his fair share in taxes, but he isn't paying their 35 or 27 to 35% like most W-2 employees in this country are. I can tell you that much.
That's right.
And you all have that opportunity, right? Like I think like one of my core beliefs of just life and that would change the world forever. You want us to talk about an economic boom? Every employee fire or employer and fire all your employees and hire them all back as 1099 contractors.
Yes.
Because then guess what? That $50K a year that you make, that then went from $50K to 42 to 39,000 a year after taxes, and then after all your other bills, you're sitting around like 4,000 or 5,000 maybe left over, like, and that's probably just to eat with. You actually would have $50,000 because you'd be able to actually have tax deductions and write things off, and if they taught things like that in school, this world would be a whole heck of a lot different, a whole heck of a lot better place, right? Like,
yeah, well, you know what? As a result of COVID, and people really looking at finally chasing that dream, having enough of, false promises of employment, having enough of, the limitations, because that gut feel when you're worth more and then your raise is 1% or 10%. And I'm an old corporate guy, so I can talk about you. Okay, hey, you people, I'm 20 years a corporate guy, but I wanted to say to the audience now and later that there is no greater time to kind of listen to what he's saying from a capitalistic perspective, and do some of the mindset tools he was sharing to do that. So I'm going to kind of wind it down a little bit, Nathyn, but I do have a question. You mentioned Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Magic of Thinking Big, two powerful books. I love them both. And what would you put in the hands? Is there any other recent material that you would put in the hands of that person that's thinking, man, I like this guy. He told me I can do it. I'm going to go out from this meeting, from this conversation, and take the next steps.
There's one book that if you read, you'll never look at the world again the same. And it's a Grant Cardone book, actually. It's Sell or Be Sold. Right? Often people have this misconception of salespeople of being sleazy or scummy or whatever, and that's something that was created in the 60s and 70s from some bad movies that they made, and then they brought back out into the 80s with Patrick Swayze and some superstars or whatever. Salespeople are not bad. Okay, sales is one of the most lucrative jobs you can ever have, and I don't care who you are, you can have the number one product on the planet, but if you can't get it off the shelves, it's worthless. It's worth $0. And what Sell or Be Sold teaches you is that everything you do is a sale, right? Like, Geoff, you're married, correct?
Yep.
So every single day, Geoff sells his wife on why she should be his wife, right? Because he's a great man. He's a great husband. He's a great father. By the way, I watched a video about when you talked about your kids and literally had me in tears. Just like you were sitting at your table, just kind of like, it was like a short little video, like 10 minutes long, but I literally was crying at the end because, you're a phenomenal father and you can tell how much you truly love your children. But like it teaches you that, like, you buy something from Amazon, guess what? You just got sold something, so don't like, just have an open mind, right? Like that's one of the biggest things. Like if you take nothing else away from anything I've said today, have an open mind. Be willing to hear what other people say and be willing to change your mind too, right? Like like I said, I was a democratic socialist. Now I'm probably like I said, I'll never affiliate with a party, but I'm more conservative leaning, and I'm a hardcore capitalist. Why? Because I was willing to be open-minded and to change my mind. I was a racist piece of what when I was a 14-year-old kid that was lost, that now, idolizes and worships guys like MLK, and went on to do things like do these different things. Like, we all get to make these conscious decisions throughout life, and just be open-minded. Like, when someone says something and it sounds like you're like, this guy's crazy, sit around and listen to them for a minute, because they might say something that might sometimes all it takes is just like one little thing, right? Where it's just like, that really makes sense.
Yeah.
And people will say something in a certain type of way that it might never have been presented to you in that way, that completely changed your life. And also too, like, one of the biggest things I learned, I'm actually going to be doing an interview tonight, live role play with Brandon Dawson, who is the owner and co-founder of Cardone Ventures. Tonight, like, it's going to be like a live Zoom thing. It's going to be absolutely insane. And, like, having that open mind and like taking in these new things, I had a point where I was going with that and I lost it.
I thought I could help you over it.
Because I was just like overtaking the fact that that was actually happening in my life.
Yeah. Is that open? Folks on here to chime in, or
I'm going to post it today on social media, like, where you'll be able to literally just click on a Zoom link and hop on there. But like, like, it 4, 5, 6 years ago, like, I could have never imagined that. Now I'm literally going to have an interview tonight, a mock interview, with the only man on the planet that I would work for. Grant Cardone's a hero of mine, and I would never go to work for him, right? Because I'm a business owner. Right. Brandon Dawson does exactly the things that I want to do, and he creates wealth for others, while also partnering with them and getting wealthy in the process. And that's exactly what I want to do, right? Like, his goal is 1 million businesses. Mine's a little smaller, of like 300 to 500 businesses that I can partner with, and just show people the way of like how to get wealthy, how to get rich. Like I said, success leaves clues, and it's possible. I don't care where you're at right now in your life. I don't care if you're an addict on the corner. I don't care if you're from the hood and you think there's no way out. There is a way out, and you can make that decision. And it's completely up to you. Don't ever let someone else's doubt or disbelief control your actions.
Say it again.
You know what I'm saying? Like the biggest epiphany I ever had, and you're going to laugh at this too, 25 years old, first time ever I'd really been single. First time I'm ever out at a nightclub, and I'm standing over in the corner. I'm like, man, I'm like feeling the music. I'm feeling kind of good. I'm like, all right. And I wanted to dance. And I'm going, man, I can't dance. Like, all these people are going to be watching. They're going to be worrying, thinking they're going to notice me. First off, no one sees you, by the way.
Yes.
I had this epiphany of, man, I'm letting all of these other people run my life. And from that moment on, I said, I will never, ever allow anyone to run my life but me. I don't care what anyone thinks about me. You can think I'm whoever, whatever. But I know who I am at the core, and that was that. Like, that moment changed my life forever. I mean, you want to talk about like an aha moment? Wow. That was like something that will never, ever. I'll never forget that moment.
Man, that I'm kind of getting goosebumps, because I know that there are millions of people out there that are still stuck behind. What do people think about me? I love to do this, and And you and I both know that the person that they're worrying about, you're the last thing on their mind, if at all, right? And so that's why I keep going back to step into this opportunity that COVID has inspired you to feel like it's time to change.
Yeah, and I mean, I just was at a marketing workshop this week with the #1 marketing guru on the planet, Grant Cardone's head of marketing.
Wow.
And rule #1 was, no one cares, no one sees you. Right. So like I was terrified for the longest. If you check my social media, you go back like a couple of weeks ago, I just had recently started to make the decision, like, I'm going to start posting daily, doing lives, like doing podcasts like this, because I was terrified. Why? I have no idea. I've spoken in front of crowds of hundreds of people before on more than one occasion, been on television, been on news, done all these things, but I was scared to like get on here and talk to my phone.
That's crazy, man.
But it clicked when he's like, no one sees you. He's like, you know, like and they start hitting you with stats of like, there's something like 256 million posts a day of pictures on Instagram.
Yeah.
You think they're going to see you? Like, you're hoping they are, right? Like,
hope they do. You hope
like, but like, just know, like, if you ever think about posting something, post it.
Yeah, that's right.
Post it.
That's right.
Keep posting and post some more. Because you never know, like when you might say something, like I might have said something today, and I hope that I did, that clicks with somebody that might be in a place where they're like, man, like I'm struggling, like I'm barely hanging on, you know what I mean? Like I'm on the edge, you know what I mean? I'm an addict, like I can never get out of this. Like you can, you can, you know what I'm saying? Like, and there's so much hatred that's spread around the world like these days, and it's like, be that person of positivity. Like when someone clicks on your page, you know, like when I click on Geoff's page, I know I'm getting a big old grin and I'm getting a whole heck of a lot of knowledge, and I'm going to be a better person afterwards when I get off. Every single time. Actually, that's how we actually came about. I reached out to Geoff and I said, man, you are an inspiration to me because you get on every single day and you post, no matter what it's about. You have fun with it, you know, like, and I mean, respectfully, like being an older gentleman, like you could easily just be like, I don't need social media. Like the heck with that social media stuff. Like that's for the kids, right? But I watched him do this, and I'm thinking, man, like if Geoff could do this, I could do this too.
That's right.
You know, so like honestly, like I'm super grateful for Geoff and like for having me on here today. Like, I mean, dude, like this is a dream come true. You know what I mean? I reached out and I was never expecting him to be like, man, I'd love to have you on my podcast. And I was like, really? I'm like, dude, you're inspiring me every single day to get out here and to make these videos. Like, please, I would do anything to have that opportunity. You know, I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be here, man. And like, for you allowing me to be on your platform, you know, and to reach a new audience. And I just can't tell you, I can't thank you enough, man. I can't tell you how honestly and truly grateful I am for the opportunity just to be here today.
I appreciate those kind words, man. You know, you got me blushing, got me a little teary-eyed. Because as you said, you know, post-COVID or pre-COVID, this would never happen for me.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about stepping into a platform, scared to death, stepping into a place where, you know, it was just totally foreign, but understanding, and I'm going to get back to you to close it, understanding that what you just said was so powerful, that we all have some value. We all have some experiences in our lives that other people can benefit from, right? And like sharing all this stuff, you talked about addiction, you talked about homelessness, you talked about your idol, your father dying, and all those things, man. And you still show up. You know, you still show up in life, and you're just getting started. I'm just getting started. We're both just getting started, right? You know.
Right.
So why don't you tell us how we can get a hold of you, Nathyn, and you know, we'll kind of wrap this thing up. Man.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I mean, you can pretty much find me anywhere if you just type in Nathyn, Nathyn with a Y. I'm pretty much the only one out there. So like Nathyn with a Y, it's Nathyn Montagano. You know, or also MAM. If you put in MAM health coverage anywhere, you can also find me there. That is my company. You know, I also do business consulting and all kinds of other things as well. But MAM health coverage and Nathyn Montagano on all social medias. I think my Instagram's Nathyn_Montagano. You know, but come find me, man. If I can help you out in any way I can, I'm always willing to help. And even if you just need somebody to talk to, man, like if you're on that point, like that kind of like tipping point of like unsure of like, or maybe you're battling addiction or like, you know, reach out to me. My phone number is everywhere. It's 941-962-0999. That's my personal cell. Please call me. Yeah. I'll talk to you. I get yelled at all the time in my office. Oh, you're supposed to be selling, Nate. You're supposed to be selling. I'm not here to sell, man. I'm here to help people.
That's right.
You know, and that's what's important to me is helping other people.
That's
right. And if I have to take 2 hours of my time to talk you down off of a cliff of someone that might be getting ready to literally go jump off a cliff, that'll be the best 2 hours of my day. I guarantee it.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I love that, man. And we've got your information in the chat.
Cool.
Those of you that hop on later on and don't get it, just reach out to me. We'll make sure you get connected. This man is for real, and don't hesitate to call him or reach out to me if you can't get him, and stay connected. So, man, listen, we are so glad we put this together at such short notice too, and man, you came in here and laid it out for us, and best of luck tonight. And
I appreciate it.
Really looking forward to lining up with you in 2022, Nathyn, and continuing to share and make an impact in any lane that makes sense for us to share in.
Yes, sir. And actually, there's going to be some business opportunities for you and I very soon too. When I see what you got going on, I just got into some commercial lending stuff too. So
okay,
we'll cross paths. And I do. I had a bad experience at one time. I came to Houston, but don't mean I don't love the city.
Yeah, that was then. This will be now.
Exactly.
Yeah, have you here, man.
And I didn't have you before. I didn't have a guy like you to help me around.
Well, I'll guide you, man. You'll be in good shape, my friend, for no doubt. All right, man. Well, hey, hang around. Appreciate you. Everybody, drop it in the chat later on. Let us know how you feel about this, man. And Nathyn, I appreciate it. And I'll be right back to you. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. Well, listen, everybody. Thank you for participating today. I think we ran a little long, but I just, I mean, so many nuggets were left today. So many reasons, right? Reasons, not excuses, to remind you that, hey, you know what? That dream that's still rolling around in your head and in your stomach, that voice is still whispering to you. Now's the time. Let's take that leap. Do it. All right. Find some community that can help support you and whatever that position is for you. If it's real estate, obviously, we've got mastermind.com. We can get all the different programs we have there, or private Facebook, Transcending Lives of New Real Estate Investors, right? And on the personal side, there's a Facebook group, Stronger Together, that talks about community, family, health, and business, right? I mean, the messages are clear that we are here to serve. And we want you to know that there is a need for your message. There is a place for your message, okay? And we need you to understand that this 8 inches, I say, some people say 6, but that 8 inches between your ears, like Nathyn said, make a decision, a commitment to grabbing your brain, right? And every day you talk to it. And the conversation is going to start out like mine always does. Oh, man, we got to get up, right? Oh, man, what are you going to do now? Oh, why don't you sleep for another 15, 20 minutes? And all those things, I still have them. But then the other side of it is, man, not today, right? There's affirmations that you can use. Like he talked about listening to motivational tapes. There's books, 15, 20 minutes a day, a half hour, read, reset your mind. Let's all agree, and I'm going to wrap it up now, to begin to reset our mind, recreate what we believe in ourselves, reposition ourselves, and take another step towards what we're really meant to do, who we're really meant to serve, and come hang out with Conversations with Geoff on the 30th, actually. We've got another young lady out of Austin, Texas. Oh, boy, don't miss it. And we got something free for those of you that show up on the 30th. So anyhow, appreciate everyone. Drop how you love Nathyn's perspectives today, and let's stay in touch. Till we meet again. Take care and have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Enjoy your family. Be safe if you're traveling. And take a few minutes each day and write down 5 things you're grateful for. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.